breaths to kind of clear our energy and get grounded here together and sync up our energy fields. So you can place your right hand over the center of your chest and your left hand over your low belly, and we'll begin by exhale, letting all the air out. Taking a nice deep inhale. Opening the mouth. Good, let it out. Inhale, 2 more. Good, and 1 more. Good, keeping the eyes closed, letting the hands rest down in the lap. If having your eyes closed is comfortable for you, you can keep them closed, but if not, for whatever reason, just a gentle gaze down at the floor is fine. And just taking a moment here to tune in with yourself. Turning inward and bringing to mind whatever your journey has been so far as a spiritual entrepreneur. And specifically bringing in the energy of abundance. Specifically financial prosperity. And just noticing anything that's coming up for you now without any judgment of good or bad, just noticing what has your relationship been to money throughout your journey. What obstacles, if any, have you overcome? And what obstacles do you still have before you that you will overcome? Once again, just noticing whatever's coming up. Just accepting this as your journey, wherever you're at right now. So this will be the topic for our discussion this evening. Bringing the palms together to rub now. Coming back into the body in its physical space. Coming to stillness in front of the heart center. Pausing here for a moment, taking another deep breath into the heart. Letting the hands rest down. And gently opening the eyes whenever you're ready. We are talking tonight, and we'll get a little extra energy clearing. So yeah, we can just go around now and introduce ourselves and what's your name and where are you from, if not from here, and what is your path, what is your journey that you're on as a spiritual entrepreneur, what do you do to people and yourself, and yeah, and then anything that you want to share from the little mini meditation that we did, and anything came up for you that you want to release and talk about, and yeah. Anybody?
Well, my name's Candace, and I do a lot of things. I went into a lot of detail last time, so I won't this time. So I was the good person. But in summary, I started my journey as an herbalist, and I very much love spirit medicine. So as an herbalist, course, I always honor the acute treatments, the physical treatments, but I always love to come back to nourishment and emotional support, spiritual support, and connecting to them on that energetic level, building relationships, like really just developing a strong connection to plant medicine. And over the years, though, I also went down the journey of just nutrition, fermentation, Tai Chi, Qigong, energy medicine in general, and then I discovered EFT tapping. And I am a person who comes from a lot of trauma, not just from childhood, but also in my adult life. And so all these tools have been just what have kept me going. And I'm a teacher by nature, so of course I just happen to, like, you know, as I learn and I grow, I share what I learn, and it has helped me evolve a lot as a teacher, especially the last 15 years. So here in this beautiful space, I offer Tai Chi Qigong classes. I just started a new plant spirit medicine Qigong class. I start working on and involving myself with more retreats. I'm going to be one of the teachers, I think, for one of the retreat in August. Mystic Gardens, and so just trying to get people back out in nature again. I used to do a lot of plant medicine walks before COVID, and that's our little boy over there. So he's been growing with me through this whole process of me being a work-at-home mom, being an entrepreneur, and which has been very helpful because you know, he's been just on a journey with me, and having that flexibility of being an entrepreneur has been really helpful being a mom, because I did not want to just go work a job for someone else to raise my kid, right? But now that he's older, got through the whole COVID and homeschooling thing, we have had some struggles this year with the school system. And so actually today, I made a decision. I'm going out of the school that I thought was going to be great for my kid, but it wasn't. It actually induced a lot of emotional harm, not only in my son, but on me as well. So we're pulling him out. I have an attorney. I'm gathering community members who have also experienced hardship around the school, and I'm like going for it. So there's this inner social justice warrior that I've always wanted to be, who's also coming out through my mama bear energy right now. And but also, like, it's been a huge growth opportunity for me because I'm having to immerse myself more in nonviolent communication and not allowing my mama bear to take over. So it's been a huge challenge this year, but of course I just come back to growth mindset always. Like, so how do I grow in this situation? Right? How can I just be better in what I do and how I represent the tools that I share? And so it's been a huge moment of growth, and it's amazing watching my boy grow through it all too, and watching his emotional development. He goes through all these things, including his dad leaving us this year. And my brother dying this year. So like a lot of big things happened this year. So it's like, I'm in that phase of like, I'm a phoenix rising from the ashes. And since our last meeting, we did tapping, we cleared some energy with tapping, which I just love. And as I've been sitting with the work that we did 2 weeks ago, been really like sitting and owning and tapping into that confidence of really being able to take my experience as being a mom with ADD, raising a child with ADHD, and having to navigate society, and being an emotional health coach, so I understand how the cycles of shame and how not feeling acceptance actually really is that block that really prevents you from being able to manage your symptoms. And so knowing what I know and wanting to share this awareness with people, but people not understanding that emotional component behind it, or that importance of feeling acceptance and our emotions. And we just still in our society where people don't accept emotions, right? Emotions are bad. And so having to navigate that, I'm like, you know what? There are just too many moms out there, too many parents in general, especially moms who are neurodiverse. We've been undiagnosed because it wasn't a thing to diagnose us. We're now raising neurodiverse children who are struggling in a society that's not real. And so in the past, I've been very much encouraged by my mentors, like, this is your niche, honey. You've been struggling with your niche, just work with neurodiverse. But I've been very scared because that's like very intimidating. Like, first of all, I'm neurodiverse myself. Am I organized enough to be able to meet people where they're at, right? And so it's like, I've had to sit with this for over a year. Like, do I really want this to be my niche? But after the last 2 weeks, I'm like, yes, yes, I do. So I'm like really feeling good just sitting with that decision of like, I can own that my experience and the tools that I do have are enough. And I'm only going to continue to grow. And so now I'm working on really just putting myself out there for moms and families. So not only do I work with the moms, I can also work with the kids. I can provide tools for the whole family, resources, because now I'm way more resource. So I can redirect people to the resources that took me months or years to find myself. And then I thought too, I was like, as a bonus option that I can provide my clients are tools for how to advocate for yourself in the school system. Because I learned the hard way and the easy way, right? I had to learn that this year. So that's kind of what I've been sitting with for the last few days of like, okay, I can do this. I can own this, and just like stepping into that power, I guess, and that confidence that this is good. I don't have to be scared to go into this as my niche and communicate that this is what I do to other neurodiverse people. So thank you. Thank you, Stefanie.
Well, what I'm working on now is that our own business. I just started my vintage company that I named after my sister who passed away last year. So that's like, so yeah, I like was really gung-ho at first. Like I started my Instagram name and it's like posting, and then I've kind of fallen off. I like went back into like my depression, didn't want to do anything. But I'm going to Sacramento on Wednesday, and I named my company Lacey's Edit. That's you. That's me. And so the house that she had built, there's a third floor, and it was her craft room, which is where all of our things that we have collected together are. So it's kind of like a little attic space. So I'm going to pick those things up next week, which this is my struggle, is like getting the things that we collected or that she collected and letting them go. But like that was the whole reason we got them, is to do this together. We didn't get to do it together, so I still want to do it. And there's like Redwood Retro, a shop in Eureka, and once a month they do these big vintage sales out in like the street. They block off the streets, and I had reached out to them originally, and now they've been reaching out to me, and I've been like not ready to do it. It's just uncomfortable, you know. It's not fun being uncomfortable, but it's like the perfect opportunity. It's like where I'm meant to be. It's like all vintage sellers, and so I'm excited and scared. So yeah, and there's just like more attachment to that all, like going back into that house I haven't been in since Thanksgiving. Yeah, my brother-in-law has now gotten engaged to someone, and she's moving in, and it's just, that's like a whole other fucking thing, right? But anyway, I'm excited for this like new chapter. It's like I got laid off from my last job. I'm in the industry, I'm in the wine industry, but I don't want to be in the industry. It's just like what I've been doing, right? So it was like a blessing in disguise. It's like I manifested this thing to happen so I could be pushed into the thing that I want. So, yeah, I just want to get myself into like a good headspace again. And this is great. I love these like circles. And so, yeah. Looking forward to, I did tell Redwood Retro I would do their May event, because then I'll have been back and I'll have things and I'm gonna go. There's a lot more great thrifting in Sacramento, and I'll be in LA for a little bit. So I'm gonna do like all the Goodwills are my favorite to find those gems that people are like, who would want that? So I'm excited for that adventure, and seeing my family coming up, and just like having the support, because I feel like some people know that I'm doing this, and you know, I know my mom was excited because I used my sister's name, and my aunt was like my first customer. I like mailed some little glasses to Alaska. She's like, so that was nice. But yeah, getting back into the groove of like doing stuff that I like, because when I was before, you know, all of the death happened and the sadness and the depression, I felt like I was doing good, and I was practicing my breath work daily and moving my body, and I'm not doing that. So I think just I'm going to the gym every day, but I'm not fully doing the rest of the work. So just giving myself grace every day and knowing that it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. Okay, well, that's it.
You are a spiritual entrepreneur by
Okay.
You're not spiritual, you're a spiritual person.
Yes.
Yeah.
You feel love in what you're doing. That's what's important.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I relate so much with both of what you said, what you both said, and I'm feeling so grateful to be here, because this support is what we need in the unknown realm that we're forging into, doing things completely different way. And boy, that's been a struggle like my whole adult life. Not doing things the traditional way versus following my heart. And for me, it started with science, which led me, science didn't have all the answers. So that threw me into spirituality and learning all I could about the spiritual world. And also while I'm having children. And I realized that I was a healer. I wanted to do work, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, 10, 12, 15 years ago. And a good friend of mine I thought would be so awesome for massage school. So I was really like encouraging her to do that. And she's like, well, why don't you try with me? And I was like, sure, why not? And it all worked out. The money all came through. And so I started with massage school, and then I felt very drawn to Maya Cooper with the full ISIS. So I apprenticed with her, and that was so helpful because it helps me get to know my inner self for the first time and start understanding what all this meant. And it was great, but I just felt like I didn't have enough to offer people. Just like, well, massage energy work, everybody does that. Like I have to do, and that's like a theme of my life too. It's like never enough. So after that, I mostly focused on being at home mom and homemaking. I got to a point where it was very clear that I needed my own life and my own focus, because I let myself get too far, and I ended up with like getting a DUI. It was a big eye-opener, change of pastime, and I went inside again to look for the answers, and my intuition told me to go back to school, marine biology. So yeah, I went back and got my marine biology degree. But my senior year, I realized that the whole system is corrupt. And I got really jaded. And at the same time, my Native American US history class was giving us all these alternative history videos. And I found Dolores Cannon. She is this amazing woman that has written like 18 books about the real history. And she found out all this information through hypnosis. And it was like, ooh, this is juicy stuff. And I remember this too. And life was like, yup. And I was like, I'd love to do that. But, you know, my whole family is like, you're crazy. You just got your degree. Go get a job. Go make some money. Like, crazy hippie. Like, and it was like, follow my heart. So I started learning about quantum healing hypnosis technique. And like I learned that there's like really no potential, no limits to what you can do with it. Like for healing wise, like miraculous things can happen with our body, from like regrowing cartilage to dissolving titanium plates that get put into our body. Like seriously, anything is possible physically. And I loved that idea. And I loved even more the fact that this is all healing ourselves, all coming from within. And it was like, nobody's like, I'm going to heal you with my magic wand. Like, I hate that idea. And it's like, that's what we get from society, is the God doctor complex. And it's like, I'm done with that. We make ourselves sick and we can heal ourselves. So I've been working with QHHT for about 5 years now. And, you know, 3 years, not so much while COVID was happening, but it's picking back up again. And we're going into new, totally different realms with it, like experimenting. And I've had challenges with people allowing themselves to go into the theta state, because you have to be really, really relaxed in your body and your mind, feeling safe. And with all the major traumas that we have, like that's challenging for a lot of people to really let go. Well, Amelia is helping me with that. And we discovered that we can use somebody else to access somebody else's higher self, like do a whole session through a prophecy. So this means it's accessible to everybody now. Yeah, I love your feedback.
Sarah? So we do that in tapping, we call it Sarah.
I guess that's what you call it. I just call it prophecy because I didn't know what else to call it. And so I finally got a session. And yeah, there's like, I've literally experienced now how when you go and you connect with another lifetime, you go there and you physically, or like you were there, you're talking to that person, you can interact with them and you can help them if they need help. That's actually happened where this man needed an answer and I just happened to have it. It was like, oh yeah, letting go. Like, and it was like, I've searched the world for this answer and like, thank you. And then he's like, wow, I see timelines have shifted. And I was like, yeah. And then I felt in my heart, I was like, that shifted our timelines too. I was like, ooh, there's no limit to what we can do with this really awesome healing technique. And I'm learning, you know, more all the time. And it's just this week, I've learned how same information can be accessed through our AKASHIC records. Mm-hmm. And I found this method of going in. And I haven't explored that yet, but it feels really good and easy to get into. And that seems like it's even more accessible to everybody because you can do it for somebody else, you can do it for yourself. So like, I'm just really excited about healing work right now. And I've been on the fence for months about like, oh, do I get a job? Like, I really need to figure out what to do in life. But my biggest challenge has been promotion, self-promotion. why is it so painful for me to like talk about the good things I do? Dang it! This is like the theme of what I've been working on personally, is feeling the feelings of worthlessness and yeah, I think those little things that have been subconscious and eating away at me, and it's just like facing really everything that's going on in there and stepping into this space with other women focused in the same direction, and especially excited to be around in this because you have so much energy and you're doing so much with it, and you're a mom. It's like, I know how hard that is, and so I'm excited. But everybody too, and getting to know you. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you.
It's all of you guys. So good to know all of you guys. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm Jen or Jennifer. I'm trying to get more comfortable with Jennifer, but it's a progress. Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, breaking that cycle of I hear my full name and I'm in trouble or something. So I'm trying to break it. But gosh, so where I am putting my energy is it's kind of place. Like Candace, I started off of like my midlife crisis, I suppose you could say, was, and I did have a total breakdown. And in that, I discovered plant spirit talks to me. And then it just, by learning how to open my heart and say yes to the universe, I ended up being able to go to herbal school. And actually, Candace was one of our medicine making teachers there. I got to go all the way through and get clinically certified. So after that, I did start my business, and I've been selling herbal medicine since then. And I'll like vend at different places and things like that. But it's never, you know, it's just paid for itself mostly. But I've been really wanting to expand and explore all different armies of branches of the healing tree. So I recently studied, at first during COVID, I took a Reiki online course, but then I was able to actually go through and do in person and get my Reiki master back in November. Well, also sober. And what I have been doing since I got divorced about a year and a half ago, I have been listening to my guides that have been very clear, telling me, tell your story, your goals in your story. And I do have some pretty off the wall DUI stories, getting sober. I'm coming up on 3 years sober. But yeah, some pretty extreme, worthy of writing about. Like, holy cow, if I can survive that, I can do this. So trying to do that during COVID, I found AA on Zoom, and so I got really comfortable with speaking. Doing a lot of speaking in mostly just in AA meetings all over the place, even in Istanbul, Turkey, because of Zoom, which is so cool. In like the UK, so I'll speak at one place and they'll say, "Oh my God, I can speak over here." So I bounce around, and my ex-husband, he's like, "So now that you're AA famous, are you going to take this out and start to like speak to more people?" Because it goes so much more than my recovery. And meditation is also, I do guided meditations. In fact, on Sunday, from the last event that we had here, the Women in Healing, I was hired to do a tea party and guided meditation on Sunday for the energy circle. So totally right up my alley, and no one's do that before, but I'm like, it's actually a paid gig. This is like trying to just say yes to the universe, but it resonates with me so much. So I just started a workshop. I actually took my first course yesterday for learning how to access the AKASHIC records. So I love talking about this. Yes. But was the first day of this workshop I took. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, because I had a reading by the guy who was throwing it. Anyways, another thing that I'm like, oh yes, I need to learn how to tap into this because but I have been really afraid of leaning into that simply because like I'm the crazy hippie with my family, it's a little too woo-woo for a lot of people. But I've been learning while I'm giving Reiki sections that plant medicine and also crystals, which I've barely know anything about, but I'm looking it up. But that stuff has started coming through while I'm giving Reiki sessions. So I'm like trying to figure out how to market myself, which I'm terrible about putting myself out there, but I'm trying. Like I'll tell a room full of hundreds of people like my worst DUI stories and alcoholic stories, no problem. But when it comes to selling myself, I'm like, I'm a little too out there for most people. But I've been trying to just incorporate, and that's like kind of what, yeah, I got to practice with Jen here, just trying to see, okay, does this work every time? And yeah, trying to just fine tune this. And so while I'm sharing my story, trying to be inspirational to people who are dealing with recovery or just wanting to get there, and also the extra step of learning how to actually really love yourself through it, and get rid of that freaking shame. In fact, my book is called No Shame in Your Game, Learning How to Love Yourself Unconditionally. So, or exactly as is, not sign, whatever, it'll get there. But so yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, working on speaking. And I still have regular clients for my herbal medicine, but also trying to let people know I'm doing Reiki and incorporating herbalism and whatever else comes up when I do those. So super open to suggestions on how to market that. But yeah, I think that's the gist of what I'm doing. And yeah, guided meditations, but I think I mentioned that. I was doing them once a week on Zoom, but it got a little bit overwhelming. So I'm just doing it sporadically and sending out emails to people when I feel like doing it. I'm not keeping myself to that schedule. Yeah, that's about it.
Hi, I'm Jen or Jennifer. I have no idea what I'm doing. Actually, I just know that what I have been doing hasn't been the right thing. And I'm in a place where I have a part-time job, which provides for my bare necessities, which leaves me a little bit of time to do something about something, instead of staying in this nothingness that I am. I feel I've been stuck for a while. And I'm fascinated by thinking outside the box, and I'm really open to learning new things. And as I've learned new things, it's been a really cool adventure. And so I think I want to be a teacher, and I think I want to help other people do that too. But I'm struggling with purpose, and therefore deciding on a mechanism or vehicle to do something has been a little bit weird. Let's see what else. I don't know. Guess that's about it. I'm not quite sure what else to share.
That's okay. We're here for you on this path, and hopefully it's inspirational for you to hear everybody else's journeys, and you'll find your way, I'm sure. And the intuition is like, that's one of my main things that I've realized I'm here to help people do and really focus on, is that inner guidance. And you know, your heart knows the way. I believe it's through joy and the feelings of love that we're drawn to things, and that's the path, you know. So whatever makes you happy. Yeah. And I really wanted to reflect on what you said about your finding to, you know, what you're doing. You're like, I don't know what to call this, how to package it, you know, what to market it as. And it's like, well, one thing that I've heard from a person that I really look up to is that this is like the way of the new world that we're creating. The new earth is, everybody has their own unique spiritual gift, and it's about figuring out what the heck that even is. And then, but they're all unique. It is nothing like anything else that anybody has ever done. And so it's like combining these different things that we've learned and that we're drawn to, and then creating our own thing. And that's what I have done too. So yeah, you know, and also your connection with your spirit team and your intuition and all of that will help you know what what you're doing and what to call it. But yeah, that kind of leads me
for
to
just a moment. I'll be right back.
Oh, of course, yeah. There's some shoes there on the floor if you want to use them for the bathroom. You know, sandals. Sometimes it's like wet out there, so Christine makes the studio look beautiful. That kind of brings me to sharing about what I'm doing. So yeah, I don't know how much do I go into this. I could talk for days. But yeah, that intuition has been like so important for me on my journey, and I was also in a similar, you know, I did something similar to what you were sharing. I really resonated with everything that you shared, and you know, I went to school. That's what we're told to do, go to college. And I was like, fuck that at first when I was in high school. So I'm not going to college. That's stupid. And then my mom was like, you can take whatever you want. And I was like, fine. Okay, I'm gonna take like all art classes and like philosophy just because that sounds interesting. And anyway, and then I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and because I really remembered that I loved children after I was with my teenage years, and I was on that path for almost 10 years. I was like, I'm going to be an elementary school teacher, and then I started meditating every day, and I was like, oh shit. Everything is not what I thought it was. And the type of meditation that I was doing, which is candle gazing meditation, it like completely changed my entire reality like very quickly. And like my third eye was just burst wide open, and I was like, oh my God, I can see clearly, everything's alive. And the school system is one of the most awful. And so I was like, man, I cannot be a part of that. Like I knew that ever since I started on that path, like I was weird, you know, and because I started working at schools like right away when I decided I was going to be a teacher, and I was like 19. I was like, strange. And then anyway, but by the time when I started meditating and really fully listening to my heart and my inner guidance, I was like, I can't be there. That's not right. I'd been in it for so long too. I was like already drained, and I wasn't even a teacher. And my heart just like hurts so bad when I think about what happens. Anyway, so there's a lot of great schools too, and a lot of great people in the system, and a lot of great stuff going on. But it as a whole, like it needs. Anyway, I could talk about that for a long time because I feel really passionate about that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I loved that. And I was like, I'm gonna share yoga and meditation because that's what changed my life. So I did a yoga teacher training, and but it wasn't. I just knew there was like something else. There was like something more. I was like, okay, this is okay. But and then this happened. This studio happened, and it was just listening to my intuition, like being guided to do different things. Anything that I'm like, the way that it works for me that I've noticed is like something that I'm just like, that sounds exciting, or like that's cool, like that's that inner guidance being like, yeah, do that, you know. And so I started leading moon circles, and then through those, this happened. This studio happened through that actually. So that's amazing. And then I had a baby, and his spirit was speaking really strongly through me when I was pregnant, and he was guiding me. I was like, I'm looking back at the like birth, and I'm like, that wasn't not me. I didn't do that. Like that was him. He was like, I'm the way out of here. Like let go, and then anyway, so through the pregnancy, I became a lot more in tune with my intuition because I needed to have the type of, I had a free birth and a wild pregnancy. I didn't go to the doctor at all. And I had a birth at home with my husband and 2 friends, and that's it. And so that was like the ultimate listening to my intuition experience. So I was like in training during my pregnancy for like how to listen to that fully. And not be distracted by everybody else, because everyone was like, you know, like, I mean, I think I just have a lot of supportive energy coming towards me, but my family, yeah, they were scared. They didn't tell me that they were scared, but I knew that they were scared, and I knew a lot of people thought I was crazy. I don't know, I just had a big strong shield up energetically, and I was like, I'm gonna tell you, because I also didn't crumble when people were like, you know, telling me how they felt about it or whatever. I was like, well, this is how I feel, so leave me alone. Anyway, and yeah, so that's another part of my message, I guess, is like, that's yeah, just being true to yourself when you know what you know, and you know how you feel. You know, don't let other people tell you you're a crazy hippie and don't do what you're thinking. Because I listened to my mom. That's what happened when I went to school, was she was like, you should be a teacher, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I listened to her. But anyway, yeah, so, oh, getting off track again. Yeah, the intuition, the connection to my intuition was what guided me towards the work that I'm doing now. The meditation that I do is that connection for me. Like, I need to do that every day to like have that deep connection. And so when I got back into meditation after having a baby, because I wasn't for a while, obviously, then that's when the connection came back, and it was there, but it was like I needed to be silent with myself to have that certain connection. And then anyway, so then my spirit team and my higher self was like, hypnosis is what I got guided towards. But that was just the gateway for me to get into the realm of what I was doing, because what I'm actually doing is not hypnosis. I realized I was calling it that at first, and it was okay for people who I knew for me to say that, and the people that were drawn to work with me at the beginning. But it's quantum soul alchemy. So that's the name that I have come up with with the help of my spirit team. But that's what it is. So it's not hypnosis. The word hypnosis would be attracting the wrong type of people, because I'm not doing traditional hypnosis. It's more of shamanic journeying and helping people clear their chakra energy system in the sessions that I do. So that's not hypnosis. But I use a hypnosis induction to get the person into the trance state. So that's why I was like, I'm doing hypnosis, because I am technically, but it's not what people usually think of as traditional hypnotherapy. So anyway, you'll figure it out. And yeah, I guess I was called to talk about money tonight. And we can do another round if people want to share more about that in particular. Stefanie should be here pretty soon, and she's going to share about her journey with AKASHIC channeling, actually. Yes. Anyway, yeah, money. The money that is like tied to our self-worth, and which a lot of people have touched on, and the self-promotion is related to that too, I think, for sure. And yeah, anyway, there's so much to say. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I just I can go on and on and on. Yeah, maybe we can do another round, but go ahead.
So I'm Connie. I am
a breathwork facilitator and work with plant medicine. So I'm a guide and integration coach. That's new, so I've only done a little bit of that. And I also do retreats and Reiki as well. I guess I don't even know how I got here. It probably started with like my lifelong. Like, it was like, you know, the no more being able to like ignore like the need for change. Like there's like, you know, I was always kind of healthy, always kind of like in this world, but not really like fully immersed in it, and always wanted to be. But my choices in life, like one being drinking, was always something that kind of like disconnected me from that and disconnected me from myself. And so as we went through 2020 and 2020 just became like a drinking fest in our hospital. Like our little friend group would like go meet each other and like just drink because it's like something we do like privately. And so my drinking became worse, and then I feel like the state of the world became worse, which made, you know, my children worse, and just kind of life in general felt worse. And so I felt like that was like the catapult of like, okay, something's got to change, and like I have to like change. Like I have to change something. And so I decided, my girlfriend had done ayahuasca, and I'd heard about it 10 years before. I've always been really pro psychedelics anyways. I've done mushrooms and MDMA, and I've always had really great experiences emotionally and mentally from them. So I've always been very like, if they are legal, like I'm gonna be like behind the movement. And so hearing about ayahuasca like 10, 12 years ago, I was very interested then of like what the medicine was, like, you know, like what the experience was. And so I was told then that it would call to me, like it would show its face when it was time for me to do it. And so I had many like instances where it was like kind of like this like crisis. Like, how do I do it? And like it just never showed up, you know. It's like maybe I need to call somebody, you know. Like I'm sure I could have found it had I like reached out to it, but it just like I kept hearing it, you know. And sure enough, a girlfriend who had never done psychedelics before went to a retreat that she didn't know had plant medicine, did not know it was an ayahuasca retreat, showed up and ended up doing ayahuasca for the first time, psychedelics for the first time, and she came home and she's like, so this is what I did, and I'm gonna go to Sedona and do it again in a couple months. And I was like, oh, okay. It was just so crazy that like, you know, someone who's never done psychedelics, it's like never been in her world at all, and then it was like, here, would you like to go? And so I did, and it was like a slingshot to my like destruction first. Like my old self crumbled very quickly and thought it was losing my mind, and I just was like, oh my gosh, like what I do, I'm losing my mind, everything doesn't feel right. And then the friends that I'm hanging out with, I was not wanting to go drink because I was super hungover every time I drank, even if it was just like 2 drinks or 1 drink. It's just like full hungover, felt like crap. Didn't want to like live that life anymore. And I was like, oh, I messed myself up, you know. But I knew I didn't. I knew that I was like shifting and I was changing. And so I just kind of like, as I was falling apart, these things were coming to me. Like the breath work came to me, and I tried breath work for the first time, and it was like, it allowed me to cry for like, because I'm programmed not to cry. And so it like allowed me to cry. So I was falling apart because I was crying and all. I was like wondering what was wrong with me. Damn, let's just break down. Every time I break down, I feel good, you know, have a little good cry. And it wasn't coming. So breathwork really helped like open that up for me, and it like opened up my heart, and I was just like, oh my God, like what is this magic that we have inside of us? Like I can't believe it. Like I can't believe that like your breath can like create such transformation, or even just like a space for like the things that are going on inside your body. And so I signed up for a facilitation course, and signed up for that as my life was falling apart, and I put down a deposit because I was like not quite sure if I was going to actually do it, because I was like, you know, this really big life-changing thing. And did another ayahuasca retreat, and while I was there, we had to eye gaze with someone, and I eye gazed with this older lady, and the people said, okay, now tell me what you see. And she goes, I see myself. And I was like, that's good. You see yourself. Like, reflection in my eyeball. I was like, okay. Like, that's, I mean, I'm let's say that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we like split, and she comes up later to me before one of her ceremonies, and she goes, I want to explain to you what I meant. She goes, I see myself when I first started my journey into where I'm at now. And it turns out that she's like a pretty well-renowned breast cancer surgeon. Oh. And so she's very like in the medical world, very high up, so to say. Like people like travel all around the world to go to her. And she was there at ceremony with me. And I was just like, she's like, I'm just, then I was like, oh, now I'm like, oh, wow, like, and you see me, like, see you and me. I'm like, oh, like, I was like, oh, like, stop it. Like, no, like, you know, I'll never be where you're at, you know. And she told me to try and get into the MAP psychedelic course, because I was like, this is the field I want to be in. This is like the medicine, like I'm connected with it. And she goes, go do this course. And she had already done it. So she's already like going into the psychedelic field. And so I was like, I'm going to go do the psychedelic course. And so I came home and I looked at MAPS, and you have to be licensed or some doctor or licensed therapist or something. So I was like, well, that's out of the book. And so I found a different one through Psychedelics Today. And yeah, a year-long course, and it was absolutely amazing. It was great for my confidence, the breathwork and the psychedelic course, because I realized that there is a huge community worldwide that is in this, you know, because I was born in Fortuna. So, you know, like I have traveled, but I haven't, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, you know, they always say the Emerald Triangle and like Arcata is like this special, and it is a very special place, but it's like sometimes you wonder, you're like, is there communities out there outside of this, you know, that's like, it's this special. And I realized through doing both of those courses that there is, like, there's a huge community outside of us that is absolutely behind these kind of healing modalities. And super excited that psychedelics is one of them. And so also through my psychedelic course, I realized that there is a place for every level of someone who's interested in that healing modality. That I may not be like a doctor who's prescribing psilocybin to a patient, but there's going to be some place for me inside of the movement, whether it's, you know, me guiding privately or, you know, depending on the legalities, you know, maybe I'll just stay underground. And so just learning that, like, there really is, like, because that was always my biggest thing, like the worthiness thing. Like, I haven't done enough schooling, you know, I just barely did any kind of college and haven't done enough schooling, and like, I'm not qualified, and I wasn't raised with like parents who did psychedelics, you know, and like, you know, no, none of my family wears tie-dye, you know, like, right? I was like, I'm not that person, you know? And I realized through doing that course that it's literally everyone with life. Like, there were doctors in there, there was therapists in there, and there was people that were just like me who were passionate about it. And so, yeah, so now I have a business. I've had a business since last April. It's called Psyche Assist, and it's for breathwork and psychedelic guidance. And I also do what I call divine embodiment retreats, which is like basically just the main focus is to like get reconnected with your body and with like your inner voice and your highest self, because we spend so much time out here that we don't usually like take even the time to do that. So yeah, I have my first international retreat happening next week. And my birthday one is, the dates are set for it, and now I'm just kind of like, okay. Now it's like marketing. It's like, okay, I don't throw it out there because no one's gonna see it if I don't throw it out there. You know, if I don't like say that it's happening, no one will know. So, yeah. So I'm doing a lot of computer work right now. So yeah, I think I'm. So,
We all do.
Somebody should do some work for me. Yeah.
Well, let me check the time and see if Stefanie is gonna be here, since she said she was gonna. Oh yeah, 1 minute ago.
Same thing.
Okay, she's gonna be here.
20 years and I'm waiting for it to come.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're my person. Bring it to me. You just, you just use her.
I had a sip of her, so I got that energetic connection. Yeah, so I got energetically introduced to her with the woman who was leading the ceremony. She says, because you bring it into now, even you can actually have the journey. There she's waiting to always just come to you when you're ready.
Yeah.
She like, oh, I'm big for her. She's like, right.
And it really is in that way. Like I did my last one last January previous year, and I thought I was back.
Because like, oh, here, I have these for you. And just attached to my this
It's lined up. It hasn't. I was like, this summer I'm going and have exactly where it was going.
It's kind of
lined up. And so I just got the phone lady a couple weeks ago. Beginning of next year. I don't know how
I just said,
and she too. He's never been a certified. I'm very supportive though. So you'll get,
You know where you're going.
yeah, and now
I think that's beautiful.
it's really accessible, you know.
Is
If
it?
you feel that calling, it really is like. Just reach
yeah,
out
the
finding one that
I'm just trying to read it. Yeah. Yeah. I need to do this instead.
and it's one of the parts that I love it.
I mean, you look at me ready for
I don't think I have quite been ready. Like, I thought I was ready, but I don't think I was ready.
Right.
Now I feel like I'm
the
ready.
table.
It's like
And the
do that
inner
work.
style.
Yeah. I
I
was
was like,
not
we can learn from
ready.
each other, but then
Really, you're ready. I might go start myself.
it's not only yeah. Yeah.
Well, Stephanie's gonna be here in about 20 minutes or so, and I don't know if that's enough time for a whole nother round of sharing about something, but I'd like to share with all of you something new that I'm working on, and I have an invitation to anybody that feels called to this path and to join us on this journey. So I was talking a lot about my path with my candle gazing, my meditation. My life changed very, very quickly over a really short period of time. And as I was retrospectively, I realized that was my like spiritual awakening happening. And I was being drawn to learn about all these different things along this way. And I did it all by myself. Like I was alone through this process of huge transformation and growth. And I kept wondering, like, after the transformation happened and every aspect of my life changed, I left the career path I was on, and was in a 4.5 year, almost 5 year relationship that ended because of this new perspective on life. And also my relationship with alcohol changed during that time. I was like, holy shit, because when I started meditating, I became a lot more aware of my thoughts. And I was driving to work at the elementary school one morning, and this thought comes in my head, like, can't wait to get home and have a drink. And I was like, whereas before I just would have let that thought, you know, help me get through the day. And then I was just like, oh my God, like that's not right. And so I stopped drinking and for 30 days. And anyway, I did a lot of other things, hot cold shower therapy and a liquid fast, and learned a lot about lots of different things that I was drawn to. And anyway, and so through this process that I went through alone, I kept wondering, like, I wonder if somebody else did what I have done, like, would it have a similar type of impact on their life? Would they experience a, you know, deeper connection to their intuition like I have through the candle gazing? And you know, would they be able to discover their life's purpose and you know, and feel more joy and love? I found self-love also through this process. And yeah, he did a lot of deep healing of shit that I've been holding on to for decades, since like middle school. You know, and I realized that through the meditation, I think, is really the like main thing that helped me to do all of this work internally. But anyway, so I have, back then I had this idea of like, maybe I could put all these things together in some sort of package that I could share with somebody, or be like, here, you want to change your life? Like, and I, you know, but the whole, just like we're all dealing with the self-worth, the doubt in the back of the mind that, you know, probably not going to work for somebody else, you know, like just those little thoughts trying to keep you down from doing what you know that you should do, and really taking it to the next level. And so anyway, so I just finally have recently decided to put this together and to ask somebody if they want to do it. And it's so funny because it's like the money thing is something I've been working on, this which is self-worth is what it's related to, I believe. And I've been trying to figure this out since I started on this path, because it was very evident right away. Like, I was like, oh man, I have a really fucked up relationship with money. That sucks. You know, like, I really have a relationship with money. Yeah. And so I anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But when I had decided to put this package together and create a course, essentially, it's like a 30-day challenge, was something that helped me during that time. Was like, you know, the first 30-day challenge I did was like, I'm not going to drink for 30 days. And then I did other challenges. I was like, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day for 30 days and see what happens, you know, and it was like, it changed my life. And anyway, so that was the idea, was like, how can I put all these things into one 30-day thing that I can share with somebody? And, but yeah, so, where I was going with the whole money thing was like, right off the bat, oh, I can't charge for that. Nobody's going to want to pay me for that, because I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I've never done this before. Why would somebody want to pay for something that they don't know if it's going to do anything or not? But so my friend Christine, we have a special relationship where she's helping me take care of my son, and she brings her son over. Her son is 10, and my baby is just almost 2. But they come over on Sundays and hang out with him, and I get to do something around the house that I need to do, or catch up on something, because I have no time, except for when he's napping, to do anything. Anyway, I was like, I've been trying to figure out a way to compensate Christine for her what feels like a service to me, and then she's just having fun with her son. You know, but I keep feeling like I need to give something to you. So I was like, hey, do you want to do this 30-day thing that I'm creating and see what happens, as like an energetic exchange, for the time that she's given me. And she was like, sure, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm like, yes, somebody wants to do it. Let's do it. And then I was like, who else do I know that might be interested? And so I started calling my friends and saying, hey, do you want to do this? And so Tilly is also going to be joining us on this journey. And I was really inspired to do it. I get these like waves of energy where it's like, do it now. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I'm not prepared yet. I'll figure it out. And so because the motivation was like, do it, start on the new moon and do it for a moon cycle. Because I've been so connected to the moon cycles and working with the energy of the moon and leading the moon circles. And so I was like, okay, I gotta do it now. And so we're starting with today is our first day, but the first day
energy too.
And so the first day is just an email with the information about this next week that we're going to be going through together, and the daily little homework assignments that I've created, which is like, check out this thing that I did. Learn about your human design chart and your Ayurvedic dosha and your the other things that I'm coming to my mind right now. But there's so much that I've put into this, so yeah, I'm opening an invitation to anybody else that would like to come on this journey, and it feels really special to share with people. And it's for women, so it's going to be a small group of women, and we're going to meet on Fridays on Zoom, and for the next 5 weeks we'll be having a meeting on Zoom, and then every other day we'll be doing learning about different little things, and doing journal prompts and stuff like that. And so the first week is integrating a home yoga practice, which many of you may already have, but the specific thing that I did that I really got into every day that changed my body. I was like in the best shape that I've ever been in since high school. Yeah, so it's just a simple 15-minute yoga practice, and that's all I really needed. But that combined with, then I added the candle gazing to my practice, and it was all intuitively guided, like, okay, do this now. And then I did the liquid fast. So that's going to be in the third week, doing a 5-day liquid fast of green smoothies and bulletproof coffee if you want to. That was something I really loved. And then bone broth, so nourishing. And that was like the craziest natural high I've ever experienced, was doing a 5-day liquid fast. On the third day, I was like, whoa, what is this world? Like, totally different. Like, I can feel this way, like, without and sorry, keep it like child friendly. Do you have something? I
know what we're doing with that. Your window open. Last night. You know, it's a perfect. Yeah.
And then the last week of this transformation process will be to do hot cold shower therapy, which really was something that changed my perception of my connection to my body, and like non-attachment. That was like a practice of non-attachment for me too.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I have to say, I have to do tapping sessions to get myself to be able to go into the discomfort of cold. And it's one of those things, I'm like, man, I cannot embrace hot cold therapy, even though I tell other people how great it is. But the hot things I do, that's one of the things that I really don't like to do, and I avoid doing. So I'm kind of, can you just talk more about your acceptance around that? Because I would love to just hear how you addressed that for yourself. Because it's one of my first questions.
I'd like to say real quick that I've learned that a trauma is trauma is what makes the cold so uncomfortable. Yeah.
I went into the sauna today with the gym, and like after I get really hot, I'm like, I'm at a cold plunge, but just getting into the air, I'm like, I'm gonna do that. But I turned like a little bit in the middle, and then I go cold on my way out. But yeah, I can't sit in it either.
Yeah, like the whole 3-minute immersion. Yeah, because I tense up, and I'm already tense with all of my trauma that I have. We have trauma linked to cold showers because we would run out of hot water, and so I would have to take cold showers. Oh my God! And we were homeless once, living in our backyard, and I had to take showers with the hose. So for me, my trauma and poverty mindset circling back to money mindset.
Whoa.
Like that comes out with cold therapy. Yeah, it's really hard. Well, you know, my facilitator to help me get it. That's what I need is needs to be guide me
to be able to change your relationship with it.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, sorry, keep talking.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say, I'm sure if everything that everybody said was like what I was gonna say. Yeah, if you were well, or I was like reading your mind. But like the pushing through that, like if it is trauma, yeah, because I assumed that's what it was. Anyway, yeah, I think if you just push through that and it would release it, and then you probably would have a different relationship with yourself.
Yeah, like going, sorry, but like you're in an uncomfortable yoga pose, and you're really just like getting in, and then you surpass your time, and you're like, oh, okay,
and then you don't want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Everything that I was learning about was like related in some way. It like tied in to it for me. Because I learned about non-attachment, the Buddhist idea of non-attachment, and that I integrated that ideology into the practice of the hot cold therapy, because
I see
it was like a physical way to do it to myself. to have to, and also it prepared me down the road for childbirth, because the childbirth was the ultimate non-attachment to my physical body. And so yeah, I think it just, that was it was like I was practicing non-attachment in my mind, what I thought about it as. And then, I mean, the breathing helps tremendously to breathe through it, like the Wim Hof breathing, you know. And yeah, but it just gets easier too, like as you do it. I was doing it every day in the morning, and it became a practice of self-love too, because it was all this self-love package that I had created for myself, which was showering every morning, doing the hot cold shower there, because it's, you know, it's good for your body too. It removes or clears out the lymph system and everything, and so that was part of loving myself. And then after I got out of the shower, I would rub oil all over my body. That was another step of self-love. And so yeah, it was all related. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, anyway, non-attachment. I think the realization that my soul is not my physical body. Yeah, I was like, this is not even me. And pain, the experience of pain, I had a different relationship to that too, and that's why I was not afraid to go into childbirth and experience pain, because I had developed a different way of thinking about it.
Widen your window of tolerance.
Yeah, and I just was like, this is not me. Like, I am not my physical body. It's okay if something happens to my physical body that's uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah, and it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
Thank you. Letting us talk about that. That was good. I would just say, I am really in the beginning phases of putting a podcast together. And it's called Radiant Spirit, which is what my guided meditations have been for like about a year now. But I'm sticking with the same name because that's what it's out. But it is a podcast about sobriety. And oh God, what was the learning how to love yourself, but just living our best life. There was something, it's catchier, I swear, it's written down, but it's really about just all the different avenues of healing and the different unique ways that work for all of us just to live our freaking best life. And so I'm just listening to everyone talk, and I'm like, oh my God, please everybody just have a conversation with me and let me record it.
Let's do
just talking about
ice therapy and sobriety.
Oh my
amazing
God.
experience. Amazing.
That's
Like,
rad.
Yeah.
There's
It's
so
like
many
one
different
of those
ways.
tools that I'm like, why isn't any like do the rehab stuff that I did when
Oh,
I was like it
They
raises your
don't.
dopamine levels 250%. It's the same amount as
Are you
cocaine.
serious?
Wow. So they can get, because they're going through a totally dopamine withdrawal.
Yeah.
You know, they're below baseline, so why not give them something that's healthy that they can do to boost them up? And then it goes down slowly for the next 3 hours. So it's not something that's like gonna leave them crashing. But it kind of like
ADD and ADHD because we have fewer dopamine receptors, which is why we lose attention so quickly, right?
and the clarity you get from an ice bath, like you go into like I always call it like the wave of chaos and breath work and in ice baths, because you go where your body isn't goes straight into fight or flight. Like your nervous system's like danger, you know, whether it's trauma or just the body feeling sensation of cold. And so you're having to like breathe yourself out of that and like go through this like wave of chaos. And like, as soon as you're over it, like there's this level of peace and like clarity. Like everyone who I have not had one person get out of an ice bath and be like, get me out. Longer because they like their body, like the dopamine level, so they have a little high, you know, and then just the fact that it's like they made it to the other side, you know, and like, window a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger.
That's awesome. That's exactly what my purpose is to have people share their experiences and their unique experiences with however we got to this place where we're learning how to love ourselves and just live our best freaking life. Because everything's so unique and different for everyone. I wish that I wasn't just locked up on during COVID, just isolating when I got sober, bawling my eyes out and just like eyes wide open, self-examining myself and beating myself up so much. And then I went the hardcore way through AA, and that, I mean, it saved me, but it also showed me, okay, this is a little much. It's just not quite for me. And again, it was like when I dreamt of spirit medicine, I dreamt of it and I shared it with my sponsor, and she was like, oh, well then you're not really on this path because you're leaving your mind open to mind altering substances. And like the tree told me, actually, that's why I was thinking of you, because I have your little pamphlet out on the table, and that was just in Joshua Tree, and San Pedro has been talking to me. I'd never met the plant, but started talking to me a few years ago, and also in dreams and stuff. And he came to me. Well, I just met a woman on the street in Joshua Tree, and it was like pre-capsule microdose, and it was for the exact amount of cash I just had to spend on me, and I was like, whoa, but I totally thought of you. Oh my God, I was thinking of all of you. So I was but,
did you try it?
Not yet, because it just was such a, it just happened and we were leaving the next day. And so I want to set intention and ceremony and like take my time with it.
Nice.
But it was an unexpected surprise. And I love how plants just come to you when they're ready.
They really do. San Pedro, we were supposed to do like a retreat during our year of schooling, and I was going to go back and do ayahuasca in another place, or I was going to try a different place, and then all of a sudden I got this calling for San Pedro, and I have not been no one of it. Like even in the schooling, they only had like one Zoom about peyote, and it was very short, very like not very much, like they kind of like went on like the native side and the historical side of it, but not a whole lot of like people working with it at all. You know, it was more like don't work with it because the peyote is in danger, but nobody was talking about San Pedro. And so I got home to San Pedro and I was just like, okay, got this call, and it's so beautiful. It's such an amazing medicine. Yeah, they call it the grandfather, but it definitely has more of like a, it's feminine. Yeah,
it's hard for me to tune into the energy of it.
But it's like, it's feminine.
Yeah,
it's not real.
It does feel gentle. And
I don't have like I guess maybe a stronger motivation, which might be a little bit masculine, but it's very balanced. Very balanced.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just grateful this plant came to me.
That's awesome.
But yeah, just like a format to talk about these things and normalize it because it's real. Like just like for the plants to you. But yeah, and the hot cold therapy, all of the stuff, guys. God, it's so bad.
That expansion.
Yeah.
I need to get back.
You do leave news, right? I thought I saw you post a picture. How
Yeah.
do you do that regularly?
It just depends if someone wants to do an ice bath, they can contact me and they'll come to my house and have like a little space and on my back deck. And,
Oh, cool.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's nice, you know, I always tell people, I'm like, you can do them by yourselves. Like I was glad to have my husband when I first did them because it was so traumatic. Like I had like medical stuff done where I had to get into ice baths for my fevers. And so like going through the medical stuff and like being so traumatized of having to get into ice baths, then that was my story in my head. It was just like, oh my God, back into that moment. And so getting into them, I would just cry and cry. And I had no idea how to breathe or anything like that. And so as I kept doing them, I realized like, you know what, like him guiding me through it and him just being there was like so helpful, you know. And if you do have a lot of trauma, like there is like a level of aspect that like you're in water and you're going through a fight or flight. And I would hate for someone to like I'm like, you know, just know that you can do them first because what if you pass out and drown? Like this is one of my safety things. Like if you have a strong window of tolerance, you can probably do them yourself. But it's really nice to be guided because it's also another thing that kind of helps distract you too. You know, your brain doesn't go straight into like stuck into the cold water, you know.
Well, and accountability too, because I would just get out.
Yeah.
Like staying here because someone's watching me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna prove
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Somehow I was like, it would be really cool too.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, but I know people go to the beach sometimes.
Yeah, they call it like the mermaid swim. There's those group of ladies who do like mermaid swims, and it's I think my life coach told me it's like up in Trinidad, and
Yeah.
she's like, you think so I'm like, it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a baller move, man.
I think. I feel like it would be.
No, I think it's
I feel like it would be.
It's probably easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe.
But it's
And
a
as
good first step.
Yeah.
Yeah, group, it seems like the energy would maybe be easier to like go for it versus you know,
Yeah, with the really good people.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's a different energy of like liberation when it's like a full power. Like
Right.
everyone's
Yeah.
being liberated, like it's stronger.
Yeah.
that would be cool. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Or the river or something. Even some of the rivers are.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Hold hands.
Yeah.
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 Please don't down anyone.
Maybe we need to hire a lifeguard. I did a lifeguard training, but not at the beach.
See, that's funny when you like visualize what that looks like in Trinidad. And like the cold doesn't terrify me, but the waves. I'm like, oh my God, what if I get held down by a wave? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's happened to me in warmer climates.
So I think they go down to the lighthouse. So it's like kind of in that bay.
Oh, right. Okay.
There's a little beach next to the dock.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super chill.
It's super like baby waves.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's always traumatic. Like when a wave, you're trying to get out of the ocean and the waves just keep snapping.
Yeah, there's one artist member to me that's here. It's in San Diego.
I don't think I've been.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the
timeline. People were staring at me. My friend was laughing, and I was like,
You're like, I'm trying to survive.
yeah. I was like, get me out of here. I was like, there's a sun staring at me. I can't just stand up.
Yeah, you think you're in a washing machine or something, and they just keep coming. Yeah. Oh my god.
Now I would be like, who cares? It's my fucking vagina, you know.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
Traumatizing.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's really big balls.
And it, I'll bring the cacao for after to work.
Oh my god.
Maybe we can do a outdoor circle. And then jump in the water.
Hell yeah.
We'll do a releasing ritual and then
Yeah.
It would help.
Yeah.
after. Okay, it's formulating. Well, Stephanie should be here any minute.
I'm gonna drink water real quick, so I don't want to bring this up.
Yeah, well, when she gets here, we'll just give all of our energy to her for her share, and she's got a really interesting, cool way that she works. So I'm excited to hear more about her journey and how she got there.
I have to leave it during her because I didn't hear it. Okay, but something this one. Oh, sorry. Here's the thing. I see. I think we need a connection. There were some things that I was like,
Yeah, so Facebook group.
yeah.
Facebook group.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna exit too. Oh, thank you so much for letting me come share.
It was nice.
It was so good to see you. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Let's let's connect. Like,
Yeah.
when you get off work tomorrow. Yeah.
Have the rest of the day.
And for I was just gonna say that one of my friends offered to do like trainings for us if we ever want like social media marketing training.
That would be great. Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, just I really want to get more into the nitty gritty stuff that people are really working on in their business, you know, like the self-promotion, like how are we doing that?
Right.
What's working
What is
for
that?
you? What's
You know,
not,
I feel
what-
like things have changed so much too. Like I feel like what I was doing a year or 2 years ago is like it isn't work the same way. So I'm having to like reinvent,
Yeah.
like
It's
reinvent
all
what I
about
do.
videos now, videos, which is like,
Yes,
yeah. Just
I'm really
and
trying.
now it's
Yeah.
like the reels. You do these videos, and then they have to like look halfway decent because people are just so.
And then you
lit.
have to go through and like make the text and I don't know, like at all of those was I'll do reels all day long, but then I watch them, I'm like, yeah, well, this isn't entertaining because I don't have the words and I don't have the pop-ups, and I don't have the little smiley faces that are drawing you in and making you stay and watch the whole video. But I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Have a niche.
Right?
Yeah.
It is hard.
It is. Yeah. Struggle is real.
One thing that I'm finally allowing myself to embrace is not talking about what I do and just getting to the solutions or just targeting like the market themselves and just talking to who you're talking to. And that has been so hard for me. I swear, like that lesson's like right here in front of me, and I swear I don't even want to see it. And it's just like they're slapping me all over the place. And I said something, I'm here, changing. What do you do? Like you got like this long list of things, like what do you do? And like, you know, so it's like always like that's been like the lesson for me is like not so much talking about like what I do and just like talking about like what can you get from this? You know, like,
Their perspective.
yeah. Otherwise they're hearing it's just all these words. Most people
It's so fast. Yeah. I'm struggling with that as well. And when I tune in and channel my guides, the only answers I get is just be your authentic self. Yeah. Be your authentic self, put yourself out there, try.
yeah, I'm not so good at the trying. I let that voice be like, oh, I don't look good today. I don't like, oh yeah, this, I don't know. Yeah. Just, I have nothing to talk about. But the handful of times I've only done like 5 reels now, something like that. But the handful of times I've done it, even if I'm like, all this bad talk in my head, when it comes down to just doing it, it's one take. It's like the words that come out, it's like what's supposed to be said, and I'm like, okay, whatever, there we go.
I think it would be great if you do the podcast, because we could set up like phones and like record, and then also record the audio.
Yeah,
and use that stuff. Yeah, or like reels.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
and so like through the podcast, because I always go blank whenever I'm like, okay, I have 1 minute to like say a message, and then I'm like,
In 1 minute.
and then it's all yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like I forgot everything I knew ever, because I'm like, and there's just crickets in my head, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll do it later. You know,
That's where AA on Zoom helped me, because my home group that I found was 150 people. And if you were to share, it was to be on topic, and you had a maximum of 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had this little 3-minute timer, and whatever the topic was, I'd be like, okay. But I was having dreams telling me that you're honing in your craft right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, freaking AA, what are you talking about? And now I'm like, we're supposed to talk about this stuff. Okay. Right, but I've come a long way with making like a point really quickly, and that helps me a lot, just practicing. So maybe timing yourself and just practicing.
Right. Yeah, my husband's like, you need to just, because he's big on TikTok, like following people, and he's like, you have to like, he's like, just pick like, he's like this contractor guy I follow. He just like, he sits in his truck every day. Every once in a while he'll have a different one, but he sits in his truck and he has a message for like building people, like, you know, like what a story that he had of like building this, or had a problem with the codes or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it all looks the same, and he's like talking to people who are interested in building. So he's got my husband watches him all the time. He's like, you need to do something like that, but like have like these like, you know, why is San Pedro important, or you know, what does San Pedro affect, you know, like break down the science of it, or break down why sobriety and ice baths are good, and just like sit there and do it, and just like there's such a block. There's such a block. Like just videos, it's like I'm jumping in the ocean, or like you know, it's like putting our years on. I mean, that's what we've been told to do for years, right? Just put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like
I practice. A few times, yeah. And it got me over that, like seeing myself, and like just the photo booth app, and just like a couple times, and it'd be but it would be just like trying to make a point, and then and time myself and see how long that happened to be, because I was trying to see if I could make a point and get it short enough to post on Instagram, which has to be like a minute or something like that. So I just practiced, and I know for a few days I did that, but after a few days I was like, oh, okay, I can do this, no problem. But yeah, maybe
so
that
like,
would help.
there's even like that whole thing of like, okay, like what if I say something and people are like, that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I say I do that to myself when I go back and watch the videos, but it's like, I see it that way. I see
that
that
herb has this type of energy, and you're like, well, oh, actually, yeah, I mean, maybe I see where you're saying that, but I feel like it feels like this way, but someone's like, you know,
Yeah,
it's just like this long, like, I think it's like like believing in my knowing.
yeah,
Having like, you know, like the full, like, I trust my own knowing.
yeah. And putting that fear aside, and realizing that fear is just all up in here, whatever. And even if somebody does throw some shade your way, so what? Shine it off, right?
And maybe it brings up a new conversation to have.
Right.
Yeah.
It's another opportunity to stand firm in what you know.
Right.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I did a 30-day challenge actually for making videos, because that was one thing that I was like, I needed to get over that camera fear.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a minute video every day for 30 days. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about, but one time I was just like, I just seriously, Okay, yeah, that was how I was holding myself accountable to do these things, because I was posting it on social media.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just start with video being like, look, I'm gonna be posting a video for 30 days.
Yeah.
It's gonna be explaining what I do, and it's gonna look messy.
And
So
it's inspiring other people who are also going through that. If you're like, hey, I'm trying to get over my fear of talking to the camera, and this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna
Right.
That is the kind of stuff that inspired me, that I really gravitated to. And I'm sure there are these people that are like, no one's watching my video, and you'll see they have like 20 likes. I'm like, oh my God, I'll rewatch it and like it and follow that person. Like, yes, I need to see an example of what this looks like in the stage that I'm in.
Right.
Yeah. Not these people doing their professional stuff, because that's just intimidating as hell.
It is.
One of the most like impactful video that somebody messaged me about was literally, I was just smiling. I was trying to hold a smile for a whole minute.
Wow.
It might have even been, I did another 3-minute video challenge, but I smiled at the camera, just like smile. And it was interesting because my face like changed over the time, because you can't do that full smile.
Right.
But this woman messaged me and she was like, that video that you posted was so powerful. And I didn't even say anything. I was just looking at the camera.
Yeah.
But connecting.
Yeah.
Well, I think my next, because my goal was to do a tapping video on IG, just like a short little 5-minute kind of like, let's just tap on one thing and just like lead people through a general tapping round. I think maybe my next one will be 10 minutes here being on video.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna be. Please reflect yourself by tapping on video.
Stephanie's here, yay! And we can go over our time that we're supposed to end tonight, because I moved the time of the meeting, so we have more time afterward to clean up.
Is the next class at
7:15.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we want to hear about your journey and how you got to what you're doing and what it is that you do exactly. And
Thank
you. Your microphone.
Yeah, I was just leading a nature group just now in Eureka, so that's why I'm a bit late. And it's my second time doing it out of this series throughout for as long as, you know, the summer goes on and until it gets rainy next time, basically. And I'm doing it with my partner, and it is so fulfilling, so beautiful, but that's why I was late. But yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. I love that you heard the call and that I heard the call as well. And I was just tuning in a little bit to what you guys are talking about so far. And I feel like it's so fitting for the eclipse today. So yeah, happy eclipse season, whether it's, you know, it may not be like fully happy, but it is definitely like a really significant marker of our times and of the energy right now. And I definitely want to bring in a little bit of what that means and kind of how to navigate it a little bit later, but I'll share a little bit about my journey. Is there anything specific that you want to hear about, or
just like, how did you get to the work that you're doing? Like, how did you get into AKASHIC channeling and astrology and the integrative counseling and all?
Yeah. Okay. I would say that it stems from primarily my journey in mental health and what I kind of was, you know, brought into, and when I was a teenager, having difficulty with depression and those kinds of mood disorders. I was treated for bipolar disorder, and so I was like, you know, introduced to the psychiatric way of handling emotions and, you know, being in touch with that kind of like darkness within, per se. And that kind of spurred me into the question of like, what is true happiness? Like, what is happiness? And I was looking around at, you know, my dad kind of struggling and just being really stressed at work, and my mom kind of going through stuff that I couldn't really understand when I was a teenager. But you know, I just had this felt sense that like at least the people directly around me, they were also kind of figuring it out and not really knowing what it was. I also saw, like, I started to see, like, when I was getting older, how people's happiness was dependent on their job and their, like, achievements and their degrees and, like, how much money they would make in, like, their house, how nice their house was or whatever. And I could still feel and just hear how they weren't completely fulfilled or happy. And I started stumbling upon this thing called the Strengths Finder. So it was my first kind of like personality test around what your strengths are. And there's a way that they described fulfillment as intrinsic happiness. Intrinsic meaning how it's coming from within versus not from the external. So I don't really remember what my strengths were, but I know one of them was belief. Actually, now that I'm remembering, there's like number from like 1 through 30. The first one was belief. And I'll share how that kind of ties in now with my work. But that led me essentially down a more, I guess you could say, like spiritual journey, just like spiritual outlook on life. And that is when my like psychic abilities started blooming, and I was in the midst of like undergrad and college in studying psychology, and that was just like a very, you know, scientific way of looking at emotions and research and like statistics and things and all this. Meanwhile, I was like having these out-of-body experiences in my dreams. I was like thinking about aliens and like very starting to get like very in touch with the upper world, like the cosmos in a way, but just like the upper world. And then all of that led me into graduate school, which was at the California Institute of Integral Studies, if you've heard of it. And I studied East-West psychology, and that is where, it's not where I learned astrology or the AKASHIC records actually, but that brought me another piece of a puzzle to what I'm passionate about and what I enjoy bringing to people, which is like going down, becoming attuned and going down into the underworld, where we can become in touch with, like, yes, like our shadows and things that we need to alchemize, and like things that we need to maybe just like come to terms with and love again, bring back to wholeness. Also, I think that world brought me to like my belonging within my ancestry. So I was like really in tune with like being a Pleiadian, and like I knew where my star family was from, and like could feel, well, started to develop the connection with them. But then it was another piece of my puzzle to love my ancestry, my indigenous ancestry, as well as just like my American ancestry. Part of like the through line of my work is in like essentially remembering, what is the word, like I want to say pre-colonial ways of being in relationship with ourselves and with our psychic abilities, like these abilities that we have, these extra senses that we have that extend from our physical body, like bringing in our physical body, yes, but also all of these other abilities.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, yes.
Those innate.
Yes.
Yeah. yeah, it's so natural and yet so stripped away from us in the times that we're in. And I didn't grow up directly with those examples around me, but I just feel this cellular memory of those, which I'm sure that you all can relate with feeling all of that. So this is where astrology and the Akashic records started coming in, because astrology is like where, yes, I help people orient to like the cosmos and like the upper realms, and also it's a really beautiful system that illustrates like wholeness and of like the beginning and the end of our cycle, and it helps put together like all of these different aspects of ourselves, and also all of these different like stages and cycles that we go through as our consciousness develops. And then I use the Akashic records because, well, frankly, it's part of my design, and also it's, I feel like really needed for our times, where it orients you to feeling in the symbology, the images, and essentially your soul's language as it is connected to and directly sourced from source, from the divine, from, I've been using the term God a lot lately, but whatever that is for you up there. It's like there is, I believe, and I'm still experimenting with the feeling of it, but I believe that there's like the one, if that makes sense, like the one God that encompasses all of the other gods or forms of gods and goddesses. So with the Akashic records, which by the way, have any of you heard of the Akashic records? Yeah, awesome. It's becoming like more widely known, and I will say that there's more to it than recovering your past lives. That will come through as it is relevant, but I think it's a beautiful tool for honestly being able to be okay with not knowing. It's like, you know, it's like this library. So the word like records kind of speaks to how it can be visualized as a library of all of the energetic imprints that were, that are, and that will be. So it's that non-dual space where everything exists, the past and the future exist. It's just like weird even talking about, because it's like, what is that? But you may, yeah, exactly. So it's a beautiful art form. It is a humbling art form and skill to open to that energy and then translate that feeling into messages as accurately as possible to like a client or to relationships around you. Like I use it whenever I'm feeling like a rupture happening in a relationship. I use it as a way to look at them from what I call Akashic perspective, or from the eyes of God, from the eyes of unconditional love, the eyes of limitless possibility, the eyes of many different perspectives of like, how can I widen my range of perspective of who this person is, especially outside of the box of maybe my judgment I have of them, or how like hurtful this challenge is or this conflict is between us. So the Akashic records is kind of that in a nutshell. And then With astrology, I specifically have studied evolutionary astrology. It's a little different than traditional. There's like traditional / Hellenistic astrology. Is anyone an astrologer here?
I'm very interested, but I'm not.
I see it all the time.
I can't.
This is what this is. I've been learning. I started the new moon thing. I did that for my homegirls in AA just on Zoom. I started my own new moon thing, and so I just started learning. So I had something to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
I'm like you. I love it. Don't really know
I'm
how to when I
Nice.
I am. I'm slowly getting
So can you tell us what the difference is with evolutionary astrology?
Yes. So, evolutionary astrology focuses on, like, my entry point when I look at your chart. I start with where your Pluto placement is, what house it's in, and if it has like any aspects with other planets being made with it. And if you also have like prominent Scorpio placements because Pluto rules Scorpio. And then we also focus on, and there's a lot of banter or just like speculation about the validity of this outlook, but I'm not a very technical person. I'm in this for the like areas of life that it opens and like the conversations that it can open. But essentially also it focuses on the north node and where your south node is. So
Mine's in alignment with what's going on right now, which is why the eclipses have been.
okay.
Yeah.
In Aries and Libra.
Well, no, just switched, but I have been in the Taurus Scorpio.
Okay.
So that, yeah, I looked at it this whole last year and I know, ooh, this was my shadow. Like, this was me getting out of that Scorpio and into that Taurus.
Yeah.
So I really got, that's what why I got deeper into astrology, was learning more about the north and south nodes.
Amazing.
Because to me, I think that's just has such more of an impact than just like the three main ones that we throw out there all the time. To me, I'm like, no, we gotta throw the north and south node into that mix because
Yeah.
they're such big pieces.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I had my nodal return 2 years ago, which was when the nodes were in Sag. Well, Gemini North Node is in Sag. My North Node is in Sag. But those 2 years were like major upheaval and change, also a lot of adventure and like ecstatic, just like, whoa, I can't believe how amazing my life is. I wouldn't have imagined this before. So the lunar nodes have that kind of like this, you touch into your like destiny, into your, just deeper into your like soul's essence. I feel like destiny can be kind of a lofty word, but I don't know how else to explain it. Like I really feel like we all have a destiny in some way. And the archetypes of the North Node and the South Node are kind of what they call the vehicles, or it's like what the personality structure that would best suit your, how to express and bring out your destiny in this lifetime. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So it's like, I want to know what house your Pluto is in. I want to know what houses and what signs your lunar nodes are in. And then there's more to it, but essentially by focusing on those placements, it starts to bring up a story around where your like wounding is, but also where your medicine is. So Pluto, like, why did you reincarnate into this life? Like, what pulled you down? What attracted you? What magnetized you? And what equally frightens you? Because those do not live separate. I think that it's safe to say that the things that we desire the most, we're scared of the most. Like being seen and like posting those videos on Instagram of like letting go of people's thoughts and like second guesses and doubts, or just having their own perspectives of things. It's Pluto kind of encompasses all of that, and then the lunar nodes bring flavor to that, bring just more layers to that. So I'll tell you where mine is in the spirit of vulnerability. I have Pluto in the 10th house, the house of vocation and work and career. It is the bane of my existence. I constantly die and rebirth through my work, and it's really humbling. And I can share more about that if there's time. And then my North Node is also in the 10th house. So it's like this thing that I like keep dying within, but it's like my destiny. It's like, it's so intense. It's in Sagittarius. My North Node is in Sagittarius, the sign of like natural law, the sign of yes, like philosophy, but also like the sign of where you are in tune with the larger cycles of life and like the harmony of nature, how nature has this inherent like order to it. There's like an inherent chaos and order to things, and I feel like Sagittarius like hones in on that. Hence my like astrology, like using astrology as a system that I feel like brings about harmony, or a context of like harmony to one's like purpose and life. And then the AKASHIC records, which is like a feeling experience of unconditional love, trust, faith, belief, like believing it before you see it kind of philosophy and embodiment and experiment. So yeah, so that's a little bit about how my work has evolved. I'm actually, so this is like, you know, my entrepreneurial work. This is like what I do independently. And I've had like half of my foot in the mental health world and being like a service coordinator, working in rehabilitation units, and being my last position was as a counselor, but I'm not a licensed counselor, but doing kind of like coaching work with clients that are taking psychiatric medicine, still, I don't want to say like still, but like also in that paradigm. But in this eclipse season, I've been feeling this a little bit prior to this. I have to let go of that. I'm really having to let go of the mental health field and traversing into this unknown of like yeah. But like it's like full time, you're just like for real.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's huge.
Exciting. So exciting.
Totally.
That's awesome.
So
We're all here to support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dirty. That's what this is.
Yeah.
you
So much in the same.
really
Yeah, it's a lot of this.
Yeah, for sure. Like specifically with letting go of like the job, like the security. I myself personally, I've been I call it riding with lightning for a while, but my partner, he's exactly like that, having a really hard time when his guides are telling him, no, just trust. He's been helping people channel their guides and get in touch with them. But he's also he's a super smart sciencey guy, and I call it, I don't know. He has a PhD in molecular biology, so he does what he does all day doing that, and then is afraid to lean into the whole, like, talking about what his services and helping people channel themselves. But yeah, that's a thing that's so scary to let go of that security. But
Well, pretty soon we're not gonna have any choice because you all know what's happening in the world.
right.
Anyway, that's why you're being called. That's why that inner guidance is like, okay,
Wrap this up because it's not going to be around much longer.